good unless I'm actually live. There we go.
They're down by 14. And Toretta intercepted by Teague. George Teague to the end zone. Touchdown. Hall is now right in the middle. Passes away. Penalty flag down. Lamar Thomas has got it. Lamar Thomas is on his way down the sideline. George Teague is after him and runs him down. Takes the ball away from him. Teague got the ball. And they tackle Teague back up to 12. Game's over. Alabama defeats Miami. Number 2 beats number 1, 34-13.
Blitz on from the 1. And they throw a fade right side of the end zone for Owens. He got both feet in. Touchdown catch over the shoulder. Here we go. They're going to have a big fight. There goes Owens. Puts it down, and he levels it.
Here it goes.
And now Teague is aimed at by an offensive lineman. Flozell Adams pulls Teague away, and Owens is waved to the bench, and he stands in the middle of the star and holds the ball out.
Let me tell you something, Brad. Terrell Owens started it. Emmett Smith went out to the 50, trumped him. Now Terrell Owens comes back, and George Teague said, you know what, I'm not going to take this. Good for George Teague.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into another edition of Teague's Take Podcast alongside George and JT and some guests. I am IndyCar Tim, and of course we need to say good evening and welcome to everybody, but hey, happy Heisman Day, by the way, George. What a great day for Alabama football.
Roll Tide, baby, roll Tide. Devonte Smith, well deserving. I'm glad that the voters got it right.
And I believe they did.
Yep. And we'll be able to bring that trophy back to Tuscaloosa again. Yes, sir. Good
With
stuff.
all due respect to Trevor Lawrence, who's been the golden boy for the Heisman in the last 3 years, go play pro. Go to the Jaguars or the Jets. We'll see you in the NFL. But the right guy won for sure, man. Devonte has impressed me all season, but the fact he's a wide receiver and we had really no wide receivers win since 91. Just didn't think it was going to happen, but if it did, this was the year. And man, we're happy for you guys for sure.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it.
For all of you that are college football fans, for all of you that are college football recruiting fans, or if you have questions about the recruiting process, if you have questions about how everything works, you are in luck because this is the Teague's Take College Football Recruiting Show. We've got special guest Mike Roach, the recruiting editor of the Texas Longhorns with 24/7 Sports. And, George, we've got a member of your staff here as well, Mr. Charlie Williams. How are you doing, Charlie?
I'm doing good. What about yourself?
Well, we're all hanging in there. We're all hanging in there anticipating this national championship game. We'll get there soon enough. Mike, thank you so much for joining the show, brother. How are you tonight?
I'm good, gentlemen. I appreciate you guys for having me.
Absolutely. Welcome. We want to welcome everybody also on YouTube, Facebook, Periscope /Twitter. And those of you that have downloaded this show and you are listening to it at your leisure on whatever you listen to your podcast on, we want to remind you to leave a great review, hit that subscribe button so that you get notifications whenever we drop these new shows. So, George, I have a question. What prompted the college football recruiting show for you?
Well, as a high school football coach, I'm heavily involved in what happens with our players when it comes to recruiting. So I know that there are a lot of myths and a lot of things that parents don't know or understand. So I try to do my best to try to educate people on what recruiting really is as opposed to what they think it is. So Coach Williams and I have done a lot of things. Even this year during the pandemic was a great year for us that we were interviewing college coaches, just trying to get the real skinny. I've played, JT played, we went through it. You played, went through it, right?
Played flag football.
Yeah, so it's just something that I felt like, especially right now in the height of recruiting season, we just came off the early signing period, and we got another one coming up in February. Now you got a lot of coaching changes. A lot of people could be getting confused, so I thought this would be an excellent time to bring on Mike Roach to come talk to us a little bit about what's going on in Texas and the situation that they're in, but how it really works around the country as well.
Yeah, because Texas not, I don't know if you call it a unique situation because there's a lot of coaching turnover, but you presumably have guys on the team and guys that were incoming that were recruited by the outgoing coach. And now you've got a new coach coming in. Mike, how does that work with the incoming students, the incoming class that now their coach is gone and they never signed up to play for the new guy?
Yeah, it's kind of an unfortunate part of the business. It's just, ideally these firings are usually made before the early signing period, and guys can either hold off or choose to sign or do whatever they want. But in this case, it was a little, I think, it was a little, I would almost say shady by the Texas, athletic department to release a statement of support for Tom Herman a week before signing day, talked all the recruits into signing, and then go ahead and make this move afterwards. Obviously, it's hurt them in a couple of different ways. I think that there's a couple of signees out there who now feel like they were lied to a little bit. And, I think that that's going to play in a little bit. For the most part, I think everybody's going to sign. Everybody's excited about a new direction. But, yeah, I mean, look, these guys have gone through a process, especially this 2021 class, because of COVID-19, without being able to take visits, where they're trusting these coaches. And it's not great that your first impression is this.
Yes,
yeah, no question. They're not the only school dealing with that, and they're not the only school that will continue to deal with. Like you said, it is an unfortunate part of the business and of the whole recruiting situation. George, do you have a follow-up?
Well, and it's really something based upon what me and Coach Williams was talking about beforehand.
Right.
But you already led into that. It's now that you have the turnover, regardless of how it went down. Is it on the onus of Sarkisian and his staff? Are they going to, what do they do with players like that? Do they have to re-offer them? Are those scholarship offers still good? What are the real rules once, a coach leaves and scholarship offers are out there? Do they have to honor them?
An offer, a verbal offer is just that. It's a verbal thing. It's non-binding. There's, as you guys know, I mean, colleges go through, they drop kids all the time, even those that are committed to them. It's not official until you sign that paperwork. Now, most of the Texas class have signed that paperwork. There's only 2 guys in the class who have not yet signed, and will sign in February, or should sign in February. And so, those guys are gonna have to get out of their letters of intent, which, with the NCAA, usually they do understand in the event of a coaching change or something like that, and let you out of your letter of intent, or with the one-time transfer rule expected to be voted on this year in the spring, those guys could even transfer penalty-free and make the move that way. But, for now, they are pretty much locked in with those guys who have signed the paperwork.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's good stuff, man. I mean, it's scary though, right? I mean, for those guys, I can't imagine what that would be like just after you sign with the coach and then having to, rethink it or stay with it, man. That's tough. It's unfortunate.
And as bad as it is for the players that are coming in, do you feel that it helps with the incoming coach that, hey, you don't actually have to go and necessarily re-recruit? You've got a full class. Now, maybe it's not the guys that you want, but at least it's a full class coming in, rather than you're coming into a situation where you just had 6, 7, 8 guys decommit, and you got a small class.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's way more preferable. And Texas signed, I want to say 17 So, I mean, I think they had room for about 23 or 24 in this class. So, you know, it's not going to take that many more once these guys get into place and start making some evaluations and new offers. But, you know, the majority of their class is zipped up. I think for the coaches, like you said, it may not be the guy, but at least they're not having to build a class from scratch with only a month to do it. And, you know, the national championship game kind of standing in the way of everything right now with Steve Sarkisian very much locked in on that. I was laughing I was talking to a source today about coaching hires that he might make. And, you know, I just said, like, what's the holdup or what do we expect the schedule to be? And they said, you know, the last time a Bama offensive coordinator got hired away, it was Mike Locksley. And leading up to the game, there were guys interviewing, and he was talking to candidates and all sorts of things, and they got beat by 30. So he said Nick's kind of been on the warpath a little bit to make sure everybody's locked in and preparing for this game this week. So, yeah, I mean, that's just another obstacle in the way for Texas, although I do think there are going to be a lot more interested eyes on that game Monday night this state.
Well, this don't have anything to do with the recruiting, or maybe it does. But you know, Texas would do anything to try to hurt Alabama. I think everybody would try to do anything to try to hurt Alabama this time. He's stealing coaches right before the national championship game. They'll drive up with that truck. And
you know how it is, Coach. I mean, I think as a head coach, the most awesome compliment you can be paid is that everybody wants your coaches. They obviously see you doing something right. They want a part of that system, whatever it is, whatever that magic is. They think they can get it from the guys who worked for them. So, I mean, I think it's a great compliment. Obviously, you know, Nick Saban's been very he's always been really supportive of his guys moving up. But I think when, you know, in that time period that they're trying to take care of their business, he wants them locked in.
Yes.
So, Mike, I got a question. So the 2022 guys, I know it's kind of in the future. How does that work with re-offering them? They're going to go – I know Herman and staff probably didn't leave a list of who they offered. They reach out to guys like, say, you or a recruiting service that they use to go ahead and try to offer the same kind of guys that Texas already offer, or start all over with their board.
Yeah, they definitely are going to have to put a new board together. I mean, there are offers out there that probably, I'll just be honest with you, in a month, that kid won't have an offer from Texas anymore. I mean, it just won't be a good offer. And that's just kind of the way it goes. You know, players or coaches see things differently. They evaluate kids differently. They see different things they want in kids. So, you know, I think it just kind of changes it. Basically what's going to happen is usually a lot of their support staff stays around. So guys like Derek Chang and Brian Carrington, the director of recruiting and director of player personnel, those guys from all indications are going to stick around at least through signing day to help kind of transition them and get them on the right page and understand where the board sits and what's left and all those sorts of things. And then if Steve Sarkisian wants to bring in his own guys, to start doing that evaluating and putting his own board together, he can certainly do that. But there will be at least a transition group for that. And then, you know, from there, it will be a process of basically re-offering.
Gotcha.
Interesting. So one of the things I want to ask too, because we do have a lot of listeners who have kids that attend private schools here in Texas. You know, are there any real differences between the recruiting when it comes to the UIL versus, you know, TAPS? Has it improved any for TAPS over the past few years?
I think it's improved greatly. There used to be a very big stigma about private school players. I mean, it was, you know, I remember even I can recall having rankings discussions with our national evaluators, and, you know, they lean on us, the guys who see these kids play all the time, for opinion, and being asked about Preston Stone at Parish Episcopal, and, you know, where I thought his ultimate ceiling was. And, you know, we base a lot of what we do off the NFL draft and what a guy's NFL upside is. And, you know, I remember one of our national guys saying, does it concern you that no TAPS guy has ever been drafted in the NFL at quarterback? And so, you know, that is something we take into account. But I think more and more you are seeing a lot more quality competition get into the private school ranks. I mean, Texas, for whatever reason, is kind of the outlier in that way, where it's a very heavy public school state, whereas most other states, there are a lot of that's predominantly private school. And so I think that, you know, as time goes on and more good players play in those private school ranks, it's just going to help the reputation of TAPS and SPC better.
Good stuff. That's good stuff. It's good to know because, you know, you try to develop that and try to give them the best opportunity they can. And you're right. I mean, we've attracted at JP2 some high quality.
Yeah, you guys have tremendous talent. I was shouting out a couple of your guys last night on Twitter, Caden Kittler and Cam Robertson. Big fan of your DBs over there. Your school is my favorite school to visit because you guys give gift bags to the media who attends. So, and that's one thing we found is that in a way, I guess maybe it's because private schools haven't gotten the coverage that the public schools get in Texas, but in a way, we always feel more welcome at TAPS programs than anywhere else because, just the great programs around DFW, I can't think of one where I don't feel welcome at when I go out there.
Well, we appreciate the compliment and thank you for stopping by and hoping that we have now that we've played games, we should be able to have some spring football this year. So hopefully we'll have some people back out spring, looking at the
huge.
If y'all got the gates open, I'll be there.
Well, you're always welcome, brother. You're always welcome. Closed or not, we're going to be welcome to come in. So why don't you tell us, unless one of you guys got something for him, because I want, before we get him off, I want to make sure that he gives us some things that he thinks are important for parents and kids to really know about the recruiting process, because I know there's a lot of myths and things that are misunderstood. But Mike, is there anything that you can tell us that you feel like parents need to know really about the recruiting process?
I think really it's a tough process, right? Because it's a process that in most cases, unless you are a former All-American DB and NFL player, you don't have like insight into it. And so a lot of parents, they don't know what's going on in college football. And all of a sudden their kids got 30 offers and every school in the country's calling. I can remember a friend of mine whose brother was a fairly, middling recruit, but still had 15, 20 offers. And, his parents were like, who is Bill Snyder and why is he calling the house and things like that. And so it becomes a very overwhelming thing. And so, I think what's important is that you have to know who's in your circle and who's really looking out for the best things for you and your son or your daughter in the case of, being recruited in another sport. I think a lot of times, especially when kids blow up, there's a lot of people who come in and they want a part of it and they want to be able to have a say in it because it makes them as adults feel important if they can direct a kid's decision and all this, and they take pressure off of the mom because maybe the mom doesn't know what to do, but there's an uncle or there's a neighbor or there's a youth coach or something. But a lot of times that could turn into that becoming only in the interest of that person and not the kid. So you really got to know who's in that circle. The biggest thing is doing your homework on these schools and making sure they want you. Look at their depth charts. See how many kids they're recruiting at the position you play. See how they've used kids at the position you play. Understand the system they run and how you would fit into it. And understand the difference between real interest and fake interest. There's a lot of what we call keeping guys warm. Right? We put them on the back burner. We'll check in with them every once in a while. We send them a graphic on Twitter and things like that. And they think they're being recruited. And what really is happening is colleges are saying, we want you to basically stay over here in Tupperware so that if we miss on options A, B, and C, we come back to you and, hey, remember, we've been talking to you this whole time. We've been sending you those cool graphics and checking in with you every once in a while. And so I think that you've got to – I know that everybody wants to play at an Alabama or an Ohio State or things like that, but be realistic about where you can go. Understand who's really showing you love and who's really showing you that they want you and who's treating you like a priority and who isn't. Those are just – I mean, if you ask me like for a 30,000-foot view, that's probably the biggest quick tips I would give to parents and kids when it goes into a recruitment. And I would also say this is the thing I tell every kid in the world. The goal is to get school paid for and to not have student debt. Everything after that is cake. So, if you can go to a D1 AA or a D2, get a partial scholarship, if you can get your degree, you're going to get a chance. If you're good enough, you're going to get a chance in the NFL. And if not, you're going to get a degree. And then from there, you can dictate your own future. And so that's kind of what I always tell them. Don't be so wrapped up in the championships and the Heisman trophies. Just get school paid for. Take it off your parents.
That's real good.
Yes, it is.
I feel that message gets lost, especially in this day and age, with guys with higher aspirations than they probably should have, being a little more confident in their ability than maybe they should be. But yeah, that's a great point. That's the important thing is, and just pay for school, get a degree, get an education, and you can write your own ticket after that. So that's a great point.
And Mike, I just got one question. So what's the determining factor between 3-star, 4-star, and of course 5-star, as you guys rate them on 247?
Sure. So a lot of people come to me for this. I just want to make it very clear. I don't decide stars at all. I have a hand in it. I can give an opinion on a kid. If somebody calls me and asks me a question, I will certainly do it to the best of my ability. But for all the people who are mad at our star rankings and they call me, I'm not the guy that does it. So I just want to make that clear first. Really what we look for are, we've gone through a lot of development in the ranking system. It's, first started out with how good of a college player do we think this guy could be? Is he an athlete? Is he really productive at the high school level? And, what we soon found out was that it's really hard to find one way to really evaluate a kid and put, a proper label on him. And so what we decided to do, and I think we kind of get a lot of misunderstanding for this, is we do base a lot of what we do off the NFL draft. And people say these kids are going to play college, they're not going to play the NFL. And that's true, but that's really the only way we can grade it. I mean, because things like all-American teams and all-conference, those are largely political at times. And, they're wrong. I don't think you can grade a kid on the way coaches vote on, what all-American TV's on or anything like that. So we kind of look at the NFL draft. So a 5-star to us is a guy who is a no doubt first round pick. A 4-star is a guy who is a no doubt draft pick. And usually in the top early rounds. And then 3 stars, which everybody seems to have a problem with, but just by nature, there are going to be more 3 stars than anything because of the way averages balance out. Mm-hmm. If it wouldn't, you wouldn't have elites. You can't have elite if it's the same amount of numbers as everything else, or if it falls to the medium. So the 5 stars are a small group, the 4 stars are a little bigger group, and the 3 stars are a much bigger group. What we do, we like to verify athleticism quite a bit. And what we've done is look at the NFL draft and we'll say, look at a position. Okay. Cornerbacks. What cornerbacks traditionally go high? What ties them together? Okay, they're usually 5'11" to 6'1". They usually ran track. They ran between a 10-7 and an 11-2. They played offense at times, so we know they have ball skills. We bet on those sorts of things because you don't know what a kid's going to do at the next level, and you don't know how the coach is going to develop him. What we want to do is bet the most on the things that we can really see with our eyes and verify, like athleticism. So track times are always huge for us. Dual sport playing is always huge for us. And functional athleticism. I think there are a lot of athletic guys out there, but it doesn't always translate to the field in a functional way. So we look for a lot of functional athleticism as well.
Yeah, amen.
So I want to highlight something that he said, because I think it's going to get lost, and I'm going to boil it down to like one sentence. 2 sport athletes are important. Stats don't matter.
I want to clarify that a little bit. Stats do matter. There are certain positions where, you got to have production. If you're a great running back, if you're a 4-star running back, you got to run for a lot of yards. If you're a great quarterback, we want to see a good completion percentage. We want to see, but for the most part, you're right in the sense that a lot of people will come to me and say, my kid was all district or all state, and they had all these numbers, and it's like, but your kid's 5'8" and he runs an 11.5, and that's not going to translate at the next level. And I'm sorry to tell you that your kid's a great high school player.
Can you say that one more time? Please.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's the stats are great, and we're happy for your kids at that level. That's the thing that I want people to understand. We don't root against kids. Very few kids do we root against. There are some that I have met that I don't personally like, and that I don't, if things go the wrong way for them, I'm not that upset about it. But for the most part, we don't root against your kids. We want to see everybody succeed. And that's part of why I do my job, is because I love seeing these kids be able to go to college and accomplish their dreams and get out of here, or get out of, if they're in a bad situation, maybe get out of there and go get an education. And so, I think that stats do matter. But we really, stats are so skewed because is a kid playing like low-level private school? Is a kid playing 2A football in Texas, which, they're playing against basically nobody that they're going to see at the next level? I don't know if you guys got to watch much of the state championships when they were on. The kid at Hallettsville, Jonathan Brooks, is going to Texas, ran for 3,000 yards and over 60 touchdowns this year. And we've got him right there on the borderline of being a 4-star. I mean, he is as productive as one can be. But what we haven't seen is that breakaway speed. And when somebody questioned me about it and said, well, he ran away from the Jim Ned secondary, what I said was there's not a lot of guys in that Jim Ned secondary who are going to be playing in the Big 12 or the SEC or something like that. So is he going to be able to run away from those guys? That's our question. So, yeah, stats definitely do matter, but it depends on the position for sure.
Mike, we appreciate the time tonight. We got someone else popping on of equal importance. Matter of fact, he's on the phone right now. But hey, we appreciate the time. We're going to let you go. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back after this with Teague's Take.
Right. Thanks, folks.
Websites built, repaired, secured, maintained, and found. Brent Thomas and ProfoundSites.com provide e-commerce development, website development, online marketing, web, mobile, and e-commerce consulting. With over 10 years experience, Profound Sites is responsible for creating GeorgeTeague.com, where you can hear Teague's Take with George Teague every week. Brent Thomas and Profound Sites can take you through the entire pain-free process of building your new website. From initial discussion to planning, design, to coding, and making your site live and discoverable on the internet. Contact Brent Thomas at ProfoundSites.com or email him at brent@ProfoundSites.com.
Hey, sports and sports memorabilia fans, this is IndyCar Tim. I want to talk to you about our new friend Chris Gordon over at the Cowboy House, CowboyHouseSports.com on the web. Now, Chris is super passionate about all sports, and that's why the Cowboy House is so much more than just a Dallas Cowboys sports memorabilia store. He's got unique game-used memorabilia and rare, hard-to-find autographs for teams across the globe. Everything from the NFL, MLB, NHL, NBA, golf, UFC, soccer, Olympics, even from Hollywood and the political sector. And his store isn't just a fancy mall store. It's more of a man cave that he likes to share with his friends and customers. Come on into the store at 209 South Shady Shores Drive, Suite 200 in Lake Dallas, and you can walk on the Texas Stadium end zone turf. You can sit in a chair from Yankee Stadium or Texas Rangers Globe Life Park. Check out hundreds of autographed jerseys from hundreds of teams. Check out thousands of photos signed with certificates of authenticity. He's also got custom framing for all of your sports memorabilia items. Chris Gordon over at CowboyHouseSports.com. 214-551-5978. Thank you, Cowboy House.
Need a one-stop shop for Cowboys news happening over at the Star in Frisco? Click on over to CowboysSI.com, featuring Mike Fisher with 30 years experience covering America's team. It's the most popular of all Sports Illustrated sites and home to the Cowboys Blitzcast podcast. CowboysSI.com is the place to get inside your Cowboys. With such a talented team of writers and reporters over there, you'll always know the latest about personnel and roster moves, salary cap issues, and draft class status. Click on over to CowboysSI.com and get the inside scoop on America's team.
3R Sports Graphics. Hello, everybody. You've probably seen the graphics that are out on social media every week that announce the guest for Teague's Take for that week, as well as their credentials listed there on the graphic as well. Those come from our good friend Tyler Sanders over at 3R Sports Graphics. Now, he only works for schools, so we need to mention that. Some of his proud schools are Liberty Christian, Parish Episcopal, Legacy Christian, and Fort Worth Christian. These are custom graphics for your school's athletic department. Hire Tyler Sanders and 3R Sports Graphics, and you will work one-on-one with a graphic designer. You will get final score graphics the night of the game, unlimited graphics with a 1-year contract, and you can fulfill the sports information director role of a school, but for a fraction of the cost. And he will handle this for you every week. He puts it out on social media for you as well. He handles that. Give Tyler Sanders a call with 3R Sports Graphics, 713-933-9767, or you can shoot him an email, tsanders2405@gmail.com. Tyler Sanders, 3R Sports Graphics on Twitter at 3R Sports and the number 1. And check out his Twitter examples. You can scroll through his feed and look at all of the graphics as he's done for everybody. Tyler Sanders, 3R Sports Graphics. Give him a call now. Thank you, Tyler. Welcome back, everyone, into Teague's Take, the college football recruiting edition of the show. We want to say thanks. We kind of ended things abruptly there. I had to answer the phone to get to get Tom here, but we want to thank Mike for popping on here with us and spouting all that recruiting knowledge. That was a lot of fun. That guy's just full of information, George. That was a great choice. But on our phones now, George, JT, and Charlie, we have the great Tom Lemming, college football analyst, host of the Lemming Report on the CBS Sports Network. Tom, do you have us?
Yes, I got you guys.
Well, thank you for joining the show. We appreciate it so much. We know it's late. We won't keep you too long, but we want to pick your brain here a little bit about college football. It's Heisman Day. We have to say Happy Heisman Day.
That's right.
Was that your pick, Tom? Was that your pick for the Heisman?
Yeah, after watching him in the Notre Dame game, for sure. But I watched him all year. I actually saw him in high school. He was one of my All-Americans in high school. So it wasn't that big of a surprise. Najee Harris was actually my number one overall player in the country a few years ago. So you had your pick of all the great. And Trevor Lawrence was number one player in the country also. So you had some pretty good talent there. And obviously Devonte was the best player, I think, in most people's minds for the 2020 season.
Yeah, the Notre Dame game was what put him over the top for me, for sure. Before that, I was on board with Trevor Lawrence like the rest of the majority of the country has been. But that was an easy pick. But, yeah, happy to see a wide receiver win it. Happy to see a guy from Alabama win it. I know George is a happy camper tonight.
I am. I'm very happy. That was going to be one of the thank you for saying that, Tom, because I was really wondering where you might have had him on your list, 4 years ago or 5 years ago when he was coming out of high school, which, I've seen some of the articles and the things you had, as you mentioned, with Trevor Lawrence and all the very elite guys. So as you're making your rounds now, can you tell us a little bit or educate us a little bit? You're looking at thousands and thousands of kids all across the country, man. How do you narrow this down? What kind of system do you have to figure out who the top 300 are? How do you do that?
Well, I've been doing it for 42 years now, so I have a lot of contacts, high school, college, even NFL guys. Sean Payton normally gives me the Saints facilities. Bill Parcells had always given me the Cowboys and Dolphins, and I got 49ers, the Bears. I use the NFL people and college people and high school and even sports writers. I'm here in Little Rock, Arkansas, and they've got a sports writer that's on top of everything. So my opinion is almost always a collective opinion. And I think in doing it for 42 years, you get an idea on who to trust and who not to trust. There's college coaches that you could believe in. There's other ones that only push the players they're going to get, and they'll badmouth the others. So you always got to be careful with that. I know, George, you had mentioned the star system, which I had been doing for a number of years, and I actually started the star system with the hotels in mind: 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars, and a couple of years back in the 80s, I did 8 stars because Gil Brandt, the great scout from the Dallas Cowboys, had told me at a banquet we were sitting next to each other, and it said that. And with the Cowboys, he used 8 stars, and I did it, but it was way too many, and I just couldn't keep track of it. So cut it down to what the hotels do: 5 stars, 4 stars, and really the star system doesn't mean a whole lot either. Most, at least I know a good number of the internet sites do it based on how many offers you have.
Is that what it is? I was wondering, do you have to, how do you progress that way as a kid? Do you have to go to camp? Do you have to be in front of certain people? As a high school coach, I get that. Coach, I don't have a star. How do I get a star? I don't think it's that important either, but it is when our society, they're looking for that, right? To see what that star is.
The kids love that. The kids absolutely love the stars, and it means nothing really. When you look at all the guys in the NFL, a good number of them had 1, 2, or 3 stars. There weren't that many of them that had 5 stars. And so but it does, the kids love it because it's a way to kind of compare themselves with other ball players, and not realizing that maybe it's based more on how many offers you have. If Alabama offers, obviously you can go from a 2 to a 5-star quick, just with one offer. And you don't have to do anything on the field. You'll see the internet, they'll raise their stars from December, from the end of the season in November normally. Kid's a 3-star, and they'll give him 5 stars maybe in April, even though he hasn't played a game, hasn't gone to a combine, done anything. They just raise him up because he's received a lot more offers by then. So I always tell the ball players, the only thing that matters is that you get an offer from a Power 5 school if that's what you want, and prove yourself in college. But the star system is not that important. But to the ball players, I think, again, just to compare themselves against each other, I think that's why we'll do it. and get excited about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll have to make sure we keep telling the kids that, because
definitely.
Though I know that they're all looking for it on Twitter and they want to put it behind their handle and everything else. So, if there's anything that young folks can take from that is still you got to be able to play. Sounds like, as JT likes to keep it simple too. I mean, you got to make plays on the film, right? Okay, so
when I rank ball players, it's based. I go see everybody in person. I think I'm the only person in the country still, coaches or analysts or anybody that goes and sees everybody in person in their own towns. You see them in person, see if they fit the size that they say they are. You watch their huddle film, see if they obviously play that well. And then a lot of times when you get a chance to talk to the ball players, you see how important football is, if it's a means to an end or if it's something that they just absolutely live to play for. And a lot of times, if that is the case, you're going to probably wind up being a better ball player than some of the guys that are great talents, but don't really put a lot of effort into it, and it doesn't mean quite as much.
Hey, so we had the recruiting editor on here just a moment ago from Texas, the Longhorns, and he had made some really good points about recruiting and, what that process looks like. I know you're kind of on a different end of it because you're ranking guys and giving the guys a lot of pub and press, and I want to say thank you for that as a coach, just what you do. I can't imagine, like you are now on the road, driving from place to place to see guys and really verify a whole lot of stuff. But when it comes to the recruiting process and the way that things work, are there any maybe some myths or something that you can dispel for these kids and parents as they're going through the process, once they enter into it as a freshman?
George, a lot of times I actually think it's the parents even more so than the kids when it comes down to expecting maybe with such high expectations that it's almost impossible to achieve. But I do think that a lot of times, the parents put too much credit into stats. Hey, my son threw for 1,000 more yards than this quarterback. Well, your son's 5'9" and he's 6'5" and can throw the ball 70 yards. But they don't see it that way. So I think there's a lot of things that go into why a ball player is offered, not just because of his stats or the school he plays at. A lot of times, I can remember when I saw Peyton Manning play, he played like in a 1A team in Louisiana. He looked much bigger than his offensive line. And so maybe the competition wasn't great, but obviously people had seen his, what he can do as a quarterback, and it didn't really matter about the competition. There's a lot of variables that go into all of this, and I think you got to take each guy in an individual case. But I always tell the parents, another thing too is the ball players want to go to all the combines, every single one, and they don't realize that some of them are just selling product and don't really care. College coaches are not allowed to be there. So I would say if you want scholarships, go to the school you want the scholarship from. Go to their one-day camp. Before you leave, they're going to tell you if you have a scholarship. If you leave without one, chances are great that they're never going to offer you one. They're not going to let you leave without it. So if you want the scholarships, go to the college camps and and don't waste your time at all these other camps, because there's a million camps out there, and a lot of ball players just get confused and really get caught up in the numbers, and then they get screwed up with that. And I also say that you got a good number of offers, don't go to any more camps, because what happens is they build you up, and then after you've gotten close to the top, they're going to try to bring you down. There's nowhere to go but down. So you always got to be really careful and be aware of what's going on in recruiting. And I think when the ball players do that, they're not going to look back. But I do think that, yourself too, George, that you got to have a certain size that fit each position. And sometimes the parents and the ball players themselves think, well, I play better than this guy or that guy at this position, and how come I'm not getting the scholarship offers that he are? That I hear that constantly in my travels nationally. And the fact is, college coaches, they do this for a living also, and they know that type of ball player. Say if you're a wide receiver, if you're 5'8", you better be running a 4.3 or 4.4. They're not going to really look at it. You could be like the Claypool kid with the Steelers, came out of Canada about 6'4", 220. Thought he was going to be a tight end. He weighs about 235 right now, or 240. But he could always run a 4.6, and he could also play wide receiver. I always thought he was going to be a tight end too, but he did have the quicks, and he's proven himself with the Steelers. that even if you're 240 pounds, you can still play wide receiver.
Yes, sir. Charles, you make sure we come back to this and put that sound bite in here he had a little bit earlier. We're gonna have to put some of these clips in our parent meeting.
Yeah.
Postseason, because it's always good to get very, very good knowledge from you.
Great.
So there's always the talk, Tom, about where the best athletes come from, man. My Alabama people say it's Alabama and whatever. Texas saying Texas, and you got Florida. So let's go with the big states, man. You got Florida, you got Texas, you got California, and you got all these people with the
closing in on those three is Georgia. They're pretty close too, but I know what you mean, and I've watched it over the years since I travel each state. I would have to say right now would be Florida, and I know Texas people get real upset when I say it, and it's pretty close between those two. California would be a third, but overall, I think Florida, same thing as Texas. But you can go into certain areas, and every little town in Florida, there's a ball player. It seems like so. It looks like. Again, I think it's cyclical, but right now it might be Florida a little bit ahead of Texas with California third, and Georgia coming up quickly as number 4. Those 4, the dominant. That's where the majority of the ball players come in when you talk about those 4 states. And another, maybe a sleeper area would be the Tidewater area of Virginia or the DMV, which would be Maryland, Virginia, and DC. I've always surprised how much talent comes out of those areas. And certain parts of in the Midwest, where back when I started in the late 70s, it was still probably the number 1 area, but it's sunk, with the steel mills and all the factories closing in Cleveland and Pittsburgh and Youngstown and Gary and all the area towns, Toledo. It drifted to the south where the majority of, at least a good majority of the players are in the Sun Belt. But still, there's players still everywhere. And you go to New Jersey, North Jersey is loaded with that Catholic League. Probably the best league in the country is the Trinity League in California, where the Catholic schools just dominate. It's Mater Dei and Bosco, and there's 3 or 4 other Catholic schools in that area that just really, Servite being one of them, dominate the ball players. I would say now you're seeing Bosco and Mater Dei have at least 15 to 20 Division I players a year in each class. That's how they're dominating. So certain parts of the country, there's a lot of them. Where you are, George, too, the Metroplex, I was surprised how much talent there's there for the next couple of years. It just seems to be absolutely loaded. And I was in Houston a few days after I saw you, and again, I was really excited to see all the talent in the Houston area, and it's everywhere. Southwest, you can go to Thurgood Marshall, get a North Shore, you can go to the spring schools, and the Katy High School's got 5 big-time seniors to be. So it's exciting top ball players. And you're right, those 4 states, I would say, would definitely account for at least the third, possibly between the third and the fifth, for a third and 2/3 of all the top talent in the country.
Okay. Well, tell us where you're headed now before we let you get off. Where you headed now? Who are you going to see?
I'm in Little Rock. I just had all the top players come over here to meet, and I made a little small smack over Arkansas. I was in El Dorado this morning. There was a great player, maybe the fastest player in the country in Shreveport, Captain Sharif, DB wide receiver. Absolutely love. He's been offered by obviously Alabama, Clemson, all the big schools. He's got grades, so he's got everything going for him. And I was in Longview late last night. So now I go home for 2 weeks, and then I take another 3-week trip and hit the Carolinas, Florida, because I've already covered all the rest of the South. And then in the whole month of between mid-March to mid-April, I'll be out west. And by that time, I'll have at least seen almost all of the top 2,000 players in the country.
Where did I get your – so I'm showing your book on the screen right now. It's the Tom Lemming Prep Football Report. Where can people get these at if they want to?
Just go to TomLemmingPrepFootball.com. And we got the 300-page summer magazine, and we got an underclass magazine, and we got one coming out in a couple of weeks in January, talking about the signees, and then one final one in March. So it keeps me on my toes, either between the travel and writing the magazines. I got a lot going on.
Okay. Well, listen, man, we thank you for your time. It was great to be able to see you this past week as well, and I hope that when you come back through the Metroplex and you're looking for these guys, that you stop back through by JP2, because we're still got some more guys, some young guys. We got some 2024s, boy. I'm telling you, you're going to be looking at them. You're going to be looking at them.
Things going. Matter of fact, I was telling the other coaches, I never heard of John Paul II until George got there, and all of a sudden you're becoming one of the dominant teams. So congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. And we do appreciate it. And you be safe out there as you're on your traveling, and we'll catch up again. We're going to want to do another one of these because we could talk about college recruiting for hours and hours, So thank you very much, man. We appreciate your time. Come hang out with us for a little bit.
My pleasure. Take care, guys.
Thank you, Tom.
Bye.
All right.
There you go, Tom Lemming, host of the Lemming Report on CBS Sports Network, college football analyst. Just a wealth of knowledge. What was it? The Lemming, what was the website he just gave us? Oh, I got it right here. TomLemmingPrepFootball.com. You can go there, order his book. George, you had a copy of it there, and I'm guessing it's just high school, college recruiting Bible. I can't wait to take a look at it and get my hands on one for sure.
Yes, sir. When I get the new one out, I have the older copy, but he's doing this. He's grabbing pictures of all the kids. There's gonna be some JP2 kids in there, and obviously the ones in the Metro. So it's pretty cool that they actually spend all this time giving the write-ups and basically bios of these guys, their height, their weight, their speed, where they're from, the school, how many stars they got.
Right.
I mean, it's pretty good, So we're thankful for
that was a pretty interesting story hearing Tom talk about the stars, how that all came about. Man, I can't imagine having 8-star recruits at this point and having to go through all of their stars. Every time we look at the recruiting show, and I go, God, how many stars do you have again? What's the 8 and 6? I can't imagine.
Yeah.
But it's a good time for sure. We're going to take a quick break. Break number 2, and when we come back, George, more college football recruiting talk, I'm guessing, and maybe a little more Devonte Smith talk.
Absolutely.
We'll be back after this.
Increased time inside your home, noticing all the little things needing attention? Let Repair Resource be your one trusted contractor to tackle all of your home repair needs. They do it all: electrical, plumbing, drywall, painting, and flooring of all types. They can even handle your exterior needs, like fencing, patio covers, concrete pads, and decking. No job too big or small. Repair Resource does it all. Call them at 972-415-1198 or visit them online at www.repair-resource.com.
Hey, this is IndyCar Tim. I want to talk to you about the Maverick Bar and Grill in Carrollton, Texas. It's North Dallas's premier sports bar and grill located at 1616 West Hebron Parkway. It's 16 minutes from just about anywhere in the DFW Metroplex. With all of the live action on dozens of TVs and the big screen, it's the place to hang out and watch the return of sports with all your friends. Friday and Saturday nights, you'll find the best live music in DFW right there at the Maverick Bar. Find Takes broadcasting live with Alabama and Cowboys legend George Teague. Come hang out and be part of the show. Check out the Maverick Bar and Grill in Carrollton, 972-492-7500, or on the web at themaverickbar.com. Welcome back, everybody. We certainly appreciate everybody that's tuned into this one. Been a great show, George. I love the way you put these things together. We want to give everybody a friendly reminder that Saturday morning, 11 a.m. on these same channels on Facebook, YouTube, on Twitter/Periscope, on the Teague's Take network of social media sites. Not sure if I said that accurately, but you know what I mean. We will have the NFL Wild Card Weekend kickoff show, where George and myself will be talking some wild card games. We'll be talking about the matchups for Saturday mainly, maybe doing some predictions and things like that for everybody. And then I believe Sunday morning, you and JT are doing the same thing.
Yes, except we're going to talk about the national championship, the matchup between Bama and Ohio State. And because we can already see the Ohio State, they're already running scared, man. They don't even want to play. They're already coming up with this COVID already tried to work. No, man, they playing the game. So anyway.
And on that same note, by the way, just let me be the first one to come out there and say it. I did not see that coming from Ohio State against Clemson. I never dreamed in a million years that would have happened.
Well,
I'm just saying.
Hey, Dabo lit a fire under them talking. So
Yeah, as Cat Williams said,
yeah,
Cat Williams said, you shouldn't have been talking shit.
exactly.
Well, whatever it was, they need to keep doing it because they don't, I didn't give them a shot against Clemson. I certainly don't give them a shot against Alabama. But Saban better keep his mouth shut. He didn't want to give them any fuel, man.
They just put in work.
Good Lord.
They just put in work. Alabama just put in work. They do the clack-a-lack between the whistles and do what they got to do. And, they get hyped on the sideline and all that kind of stuff. And then we sing our little song at the end of the game and we tell them, we just beat the hell out of you. Whichever yellow, I'm going to give them hell, Alabama. I'm telling you. That's all it's going to be.
There it is. That's what everybody's going to be hearing after the game.
That's right. So
we'll take it.
But we do have two really, really good shows coming up. I'm looking forward to Saturday again with you. We're going to have on Clancy again with us and Glenn Smith, Stretch, who was there, and JT. We also have booked Ryan Fowler out of Tuscaloosa and Bama to come on with us as well. I mean, we may get one more. We don't know yet, but it should be a great weekend for us. So, we got to be able to talk about, what happened to the Cowboys, right? What's going on? But right now, I want to kind of hit on this Devonte stuff, man. Does the Heisman do anything to help you in the draft? Is it really just what it is?
Tell you what, George, before you get into that, let's also remind everybody next week's Teague's Take regular show on Tuesday night. Yes. We have the great former Cowboy Nate Newton.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
One of the few guys that's around that played for, of course, drafted by Tom Landry, played under Landry and under Jimmy. And I will have a few questions about his memories of Tom Landry and maybe some questions about his memories of Jimmy for sure. Yes, but looking forward to that show. So, yes, Devonte Adams, Heisman Trophy winner. Will that translate to the NFL?
Charles, what do you think, man?
Speed kills. So at the next level, man, then it's not going to matter. He's on the smaller side, right? But give him a free release. It doesn't matter. He's so fast at the next level. He can run great routes too. So
he does run some really good routes. This stuff that they're doing now, and I don't know if it's different for you, JT, the way they run their routes, and maybe the linemen are better, but, they hesitate off the line. They literally give about 2 or 3 different moves at the top of the route.
Yeah.
And
this is how I was taught when I was in college. They always told you be patient, and you hear that all the time. Be patient, but one of our individual drills was, every time we went through Indy, every day we work on getting off the line. And when they said be patient, Coach Creighton would be standing there looking at you, and he'd be like, "Nope, too fast. Slow it down. Slow it down. Slow it down." And I guess I saw it 7 years ago when I was playing, and now that's the way it is. They might icky shuffle all the way from the numbers to the sideline and before they take off, but it works.
Yeah, it does. I don't know. Maybe it just used to be probably a little bit different game, especially when you can't hit guys the way that you can. I don't know what it is, but it's kind of cool to watch them. It does make it really hard on DBs because now you really got to focus on your eyes a lot more as a secondary guys. And I was watching it with the Cowboys, man, the other day. Their eyes are all in the backfield and not paying attention to what the receiver's doing. You make that first stick and you look inside, man, he gone the other way. He wide open. So you really can't – you got to play dudes, their waist belt, their belly button, whatever coach you're telling them to watch. But you got to get out of the backfield, that's for sure.
And I wonder how much now they are not necessarily it used to be where certain routes you had to take a certain release, right? If you were running a fade, you had to go outside. It wasn't a choice. At least, when I was in high school, post routes you had to release inside. And now, I don't know if that's the case. It's just whatever you got to do to beat the man off the line of scrimmage, do it. And if you got to go outside, round it, and then just stack him and try to get to the post, I think they're okay with that now. So when you get, even if you're small like a Devonte Smith, if you can get around, if you can get off the line without getting touched, you get the defender's hips turned, and then you just stack him at the top of the route. Who cares? Then it's a foot race.
Well,
I think.
Go ahead, Charles.
I think you go back and look at, I guess, Chad Ochocinco, what they call himself. He made almost every route look the same, right? It didn't matter. And you look at somebody else who played for Bama, Jerry Judy. He does the same thing. His routes may look the same. He got all these releases, but you never know what he's running, right? So he just gets off the line using the footwork. It's crazy. So that's what you see a lot across the board now in the game.
What do you guys think? Who do you guys think he would compare to? Is there someone we can compare Devonte to in the?
I told you a couple weeks ago.
Cole Beasley. That's not going to be a popular suggestion, I don't think.
My pro comp was Marvin Harrison.
Got the same bill. That's what I was actually thinking, Marvin Harrison.
You think they run the same, Charles? I don't know, because they look similar in build and all that, but I don't know. Is Marvin that fast? Was he that?
No, I don't know if he was that fast.
He might have been when he was a young pup, but not later in his career.
Not the Marvin Harrison I remember. He wasn't that fast. He was just breaking people off all the time.
Right. So I'm stick with the same team. Does that still make him like a what's the guy? T.Y. Hilton? Is he still looking like him? Or no?
I mean, he's got T.Y. Hilton speed, but T.Y. Hilton,
right? I mean, you could say Torrey Holt. I mean, hey, he had the same kind of
maybe Reggie Wayne.
Guy.
Dang, think he gonna end up at the Colts? They be drafting people to wait. Well, he'll probably be gone for then. I don't know.
No, he'll be gone before then.
I do remember a time Colts, Cowboys, probably 1999. George, you were there in 99, right?
Yes.
I do remember Marvin Harrison burning Sanders for like a 40 or 50 pass. He ran right past him, and Deion could not catch back up to him. I don't know where George was on the play.
I was hurt that game. That's why he didn't have any.
He didn't have you.
He didn't have any.
I don't know how far back your football memory goes, JT, but at least in '99, he still had a little bit of speed if he's dusting Deion Sanders. Of course,
he had a bad gambling, not gambling like gambling in the casino, but he had a good issue with trying to sit on everything and just trying to change people all the time. I told you guys that
league, so come on.
So maybe you guys hadn't heard me really talk about that before, but Deion was the one who would always tell me, and it seems so weird because fast he was, but one of his coaching points to me on my very first day that I got here, when I was sitting down with him and Mike Zimmer, he always told me to help him on two routes. That was the dig and make sure I was in the middle of the field and make them throw it over my head. He said, make sure they throw it over your head because I'll catch them. If they got to put some air underneath it, I'll go get it. And you help me on the dig. Anything on, an out, a skinny post or something like that, I pretty much got it. And he, the first time that I sat too shallow and Jeff George for the Falcons threw the ball over my head and I knew I was supposed to be in the middle third. And the only thing I could think was, oh, shit. I'm about to get yelled at. And I just looked and I saw Deion chasing this dude down and he did his normal deal, jumped over the dude's back. Randy mossed him, picked the ball off, started high stepping, going the other way. I was like, oh, yes, Lord. Thank you, Jesus.
George, when you screwed up back then, did you fear getting chewed out by Mike Zimmer more or Deion Sanders more?
Oh, Mike Zim, easy.
Okay, I'm just checking. I thought Deion Sanders would have been in a meeting with you when you came to the team along with Mike, but I guess Deion carried a little bit of clout by then, so it's fine.
He did, but Deion's deal was more of one understanding. He communicated well, at least to tell you, hey, I'm about to go try to jump this out to just go over the top. And that might be my responsibility. And like, Deion, I can't do that, man. I got to go over here. George, they're going to throw this. Just go over. And he'd do it if I did it or not. He'd just go ahead and go. Well, I'm a blitz. He ain't going to blitz and tackle nobody anyway. This is on the upside. This is tight end over here. I ain't covering no tight end. I'm blitzing. Nah, man. No, you can't do that, bro. You got to cover the flat. No, there you go. Blitzing. Anyway.
That's fine.
Yeah, I know we kind of got off of the Devonte Smith deal there, but I'm really excited for him. I'm happy for him. So who gets drafted first then? Him or Mac Jones?
No, it's gonna be Lawrence.
No,
Lawrence is going.
No, between Mac.
No, that wasn't a question.
Oh, Mac Jones.
Mac Jones and Devonte.
Yeah,
Devonte is getting drafted first.
Devonta's going first.
It's not even a question. It's not even going to be close.
Mac Jones,
he should.
The first round.
He should, but it depends. It depends on the draft. People start drafting quarterbacks. Everybody just jump and take one.
Yeah.
Nah, it ain't.
But Smith should go first.
Hey, you know
Smith
what?
is going in the top 13.
It'd be really funny at number 4. The Dolphins draft Mac Jones.
Oh, come on, man.
Come on, man.
What are you talking about?
No, the Eagles might end up taking somebody.
He throws with the wrong arm. You can't fix that.
Oh, man. The Eagles ain't taking another quarterback.
They might.
Well, I don't know.
They might fire Doug Peterson and tell him we getting somebody else.
You really think
take his head hurts with you? We don't want either one of them.
Well, I don't know. You can't bring in a quarterback. I mean, whatever. I don't care. The Eagles can do whatever the hell they want to do because they are.
Mac Jones and the Patriots.
Draft somebody.
Please not.
Patriots
or the Washington football team. Sorry.
So you think Mac Jones is what round pick? Because I thought they were projecting him to be
first, but depending on how things go, he could slide to the second.
Yeah, I think you said high for. I think he'll be.
I mean, I'm sorry, low for. I mean, high in the round, like.
Yeah, I think his ceiling is mid first round, but he'll probably be somewhere between I'll say 22 and 32 if he goes in the first round. But if he, I think he'll be in the top half of the second round.
Yeah, that's probably about right.
Yeah,
anywhere from 22 to mid second round.
So he's the what number quarterback then? Are you saying he's 5th or
He's behind Lawrence. He's behind Fields. He's going to be rightly or wrongly behind Zach Wilson.
Rightly,
and he might be, he might be behind
the dude from
Trey Lance.
He should be behind every one of those guys. He is not as good as any of those guys.
So what about the quarterback North Dakota State?
He's behind Trey Lance.
That's right.
Okay.
No, I don't think.
I think Trey Lance will go before him. Somebody will take a chance on him just cause.
Yeah, no, and I think they should. I think he's better.
And y'all saying that because he's not as mobile, maybe, as some of these guys.
He's not mobile.
He's nimble, but he's not mobile. He's not a runner, but he has good pocket presence.
Yeah, the way he slings the ball, he's accurate, man. He's tough as hell.
He is. And
he's smart as I don't know what his Wonderlic deal is, but he got to be off the chart for sure. I don't know. I just look at some of these QBs and.
So let me ask you guys this real quick before we wrap things up. From a wide receiver standpoint, does winning the Heisman and his performance against Notre Dame put him ahead now? Probably JT, this is more for you. Put him ahead of Jamar Chase in the draft. Because I had Chase going before him.
Well, this is hard because before all of this, I thought Devonte Smith was a better receiver. But that could also be my bias showing here. I don't think that the Notre Dame game did as many favors as everybody else thinks. You know, I think a lot of people look at that game and like, yep, that's when he stamped it. And I think it was done long before then. I saw the 4 stretches where he had like he was averaging like 160 yards. It's basically like the best thing that happened to Devonte Smith was Jalen Waddle having to miss games.
I'd say, yeah,
because he had to share targets, and then basically all of Jalen Waddle's targets went to Devonte Smith. Everybody knew they were going to Devonte Smith, and they still couldn't do anything about it.
Right.
And I think that helps more than Jamar Chase in the sense that Jamar Chase, since he sat out this year, you know, which he probably rightly did because that was a dumpster fire of a team that he was going to end up playing for. But
he didn't do himself any favors.
Right. He wasn't going to get the ball from anybody competent throwing it to him. But his last season, he still had other guys around him where he was the best receiver on that team for sure. But he didn't have a moment where it was like, look, you know, what did Kyler Murray say? You know, DeAndre Hopkins is out there somewhere, and he just closes out and throw the ball. That's what Mac is able to do with Devonte Smith. He's like, oh yeah, Smitty's out there somewhere, just throw it, you know. And Jamar Chase didn't have that, so I think that might boost him above Jamar Chase, possibly in the draft.
Okay. I mean, because they're roughly the same size. They're both a little undersized. Jamar Chase is a little bit shorter, but he's a lot heftier. He's got a little more weight on him. Probably 20, 25 pounds, I would say. I mean, quite a bit of weight. But, you know, they're both probably going to get a little bit
I think it's going to come down to I think it's really going to come down to which team feels like they need a receiver and what type of receiver they're looking for. If you want a receiver, you know, not quite like DK Metcalf or AJ Brown, but if you want a receiver more like that, you're going to want Jamar Chase because Jamar Chase is going to get the ball and run more like a running back, a Deebo Samuel, an Ayuk or whatever than Devonte is. But if you want somebody, you know, if you're the type that wants a Calvin Ridley or Amari Cooper or somebody like that, you're going to be more in the Devonte Smith camp.
So let me throw something at you. If the Dolphins are true believers in Tua, you know, you're not going to give up on a guy after 1 year. Although when he was first put on the field, he was performing like no question rookie of the year. Kind of fell off a little bit. It could be from teams getting game film on him and maybe figuring out.
Or it could be because they had 13 drops last game.
They had a lot of drops. There's no question. So what about this? They've got number 4 from the Texans. How about Devonte Smith at number 4 going to the Dolphins to give Tua a little bit of familiarity, somebody that he knows, somebody he's thrown to that he's got presumably some chemistry with.
Well, because they need somebody other than that other receiver. Yeah. What's his name?
I like Devonte, but like, is he really a top 4 pick?
No, he's not a top 4 pick at all. I'm just saying that would be the exception is to go to Miami because of Tua.
Yeah.
Tua could say, man, I want this guy.
Not sure about that one.
If I was the Dolphins, I wouldn't do that.
I wouldn't either,
but
I still think it's out there.
We'll see. Well, there's a lot of time because I don't know if they're going to have a combine or what they're going to do and how they're going to kind of pro day stuff. I don't even remember.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah,
somebody will shoot up.
Well, if I'm Devonte Smith, I'm calling up Jamar Chase and be like, "Hey, you going to the combine? Because if you're not going, I'm not going."
No. I kind of feel like Jamar Chase has to go missing the season. He's got to show somebody something.
He might still got a pro day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those might even be hard. I don't know. I guess they can cut the number of guys down and just have, you know, they got big enough indoor facilities to have 32 coaches there. You can get your work in.
Where do y'all think Kellen Mond's getting drafted? I'm just kidding. That wasn't a serious question.
Oh man,
They still have the
Hey, do you want to hear the worst part of all of this?
Yeah.
There is talk because of his new year of eligibility, he might come back to the Aggies.
He'll come back.
He's got.
Well,
Do
do
they
they have a quarterback coming in?
Jimbo, yes, we got 3 quarterbacks coming in. Jimbo does not want any part of that. I guarantee you, he does not want any part of that.
No.
He is trying to talk him out of that. But
He should only have to say one thing: is bro, if you come back, you're not playing, and then that's the end of that. Like, you don't have to talk about him nothing.
Yeah,
all the message boards. I know people, and dude, there is nobody on board with him coming back. Yes, he had a great season, and he broke a bunch of Manziel's records. But dude, he is not the guy
to go.
Tim, you flip flopping. I thought earlier in the season you was all over this.
Because he had a great year. He had a great year, man. You can't fight that. But he's not the future. I mean, good God, just go lawyer somebody or I don't know what your degree's in. Go do it somewhere else.
There is no future with the Aggies. They are.
Hey, he's got a year of eligibility. He can go play quarterback at Texas. How about that? Transfer.
Oh no! Don't send him to Austin.
Austin, you'll already be the best quarterback they've had in the last 10 years.
Sark is not that dude.
Sark don't want him
at all.
Sark could get out there and play quarterback himself.
Did Texas hire any? Last thing, I guess, did Texas hire any more of the Alabama guys? I heard Sark was trying to pluck some more of the.
Yeah, he was trying to pluck somebody. I don't think that's gonna come out until after the game's over with.
How does Saban feel about that? Like, okay, dude, I get that you're going to be a head coach in Texas. That's cool, but leave my staff alone, dude. Like, why are we gonna have that conversation?
Like it happens though. It happens all the time.
Yeah, but see, here's the problem. Right? Saban never wins this argument, right? I mean, Butch Jones took Major Applewhite, and it's like, okay, fine, it's Major Applewhite.
Major Applewhite, he played at Texas.
But Kirby took the defensive staff with him. He took Mel Tucker with him, and then he stole Scott Cochran in the middle of the night, which was great. I mean, that ended up working out for the better.
Pulled the ball,
but then, and Loxley took a whole bunch of people because remember Dan Enos left unceremoniously afterwards. So I mean,
right?
Saban doesn't like it, but I think he's gonna have to get over it at this point.
Yeah,
somebody needs to take Pete Golden though.
But none of that doesn't matter after the game, right? Like they're not going to announce other assistants leaving until after the game.
Somehow we got to find a way what the mindset is of a coach that's hired on to be somewhere else and still has to go coach in a bowl game or a national championship game.
Well, it's a shame that you don't know any coaches you could call to ask.
Right.
Well, in that specific situation, I'd have to think about that on who, I got a relationship with to really say, hey, when you got hired to go do this and you were getting ready to play, that just seems like it would be hard if you're trying to put together a staff. You're trying to have meetings. I don't know what Texas is telling Sarkisian right now. When does he have to meet with the team, the current team? When does he have to start talking to the recruits? How does all that happen? Because
and that's what I was talking about before. Was he doesn't really have to talk to the recruits. I mean, Mike Roach said it. There's only 2 guys that hadn't signed. Everybody else is already locked up.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, you in the industry with us, man. If your people, anything change, they waiting for something that next day. The Zoom call, the something. Hey, what's the plan? Where we going? What we doing? Do I still got the scholarship? And you give them a week, 2 weeks, man.
Yeah,
people are stressed out and ready to go, and he ain't called me. So, man, I don't know.
I will say, he kept 2 of the most important people on the staff, which is the running back coach for Texas and the recruiting coordinator, who builds all the relationship with the kids and gets them in anyway. So, and you kept the running back coach who does a phenomenal job recruiting. So you kept them on the staff. That was key. Everybody else, I don't think it's a huge loss.
I've seen a lot of Texas fans saying they want to keep the defensive staff intact. What say you?
I say no. You can't keep too many people from the previous staff. They loyal to Tom, man. I wouldn't do it.
You're in the Big 12. They don't play defense anyway.
That's right.
Hey, Bo
Hey,
Pelini
look at
is
the bowl records. The bowl records show different.
What? Did you see who
That's Florida.
records was?
That's Florida.
Oh man, it's Florida.
Ooh, well, you got one. You beat up on the team that didn't have nobody left.
Hey man, look, it's not our fault.
You are. Remember when? Okay, this is my last thing because y'all don't know Coach Williams very well, right? But he is on my staff. He's on my football coaching staff. We've been working together now for 3 schools now, right? I met him when I was over at Carrollton Christian Academy. Brought him
Oh
in
wow, yeah.
with some stuff. You forgot about that, didn't you? And then
Yeah.
came over with me to Shelton, then to John Paul II High School. This guy, he's tremendous with the recruiting stuff, helping. I mean, he's great with kids, families. He's a great coach, period, in general. You can just tell how he is. But I can tell you, at the beginning of the year, when SMU started going
right.
I don't know what it was. He talking about AWOL Bama. Man, I knew something was going on with Coach Williams. He thinking
We're
SMU
coming.
part of that. What? You coming?
That's all I can say. SMU's on the rise. What can I say?
Yeah, they're on the rise.
We're coming. Just watch out, man. You get off the track, ponies are coming. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Pony Express is back.
Win your conference first. Win your conference first.
Hey, man, we're on the way. We're on the way. We're definitely on the way.
Believe that.
Anyway, President, and he always trying to get all our kids to go to SMU. No, man, I ain't going nowhere.
What's wrong with that?
Pony up.
Eric Dickerson, Craig James. That's all I got.
Somebody reason, yeah.
Cole Beasley.
Hey, man. Emmanuel Sanders. Hey, hold on. Jeez.
I hate Cole
You got
Beasley.
enough.
I'm not his friend. I've met him, dude. We have a mutual friend, and I've hung out with Cole Beasley. I do not like Cole Beasley.
Oh, man.
I'm trying to figure out who you do like, Tim.
You know who I like?
I don't know. Huh?
All the Mannings.
Yeah, I know. You only like media personality people. Those are all your friends and all the people you hang out with, all the media personality. If it's an athlete, you know, he's like, I don't know that dude.
I have no peers.
I don't know any quarterback like. Truthfully, I'm trying to think of anything.
Any quarterback I like?
Not current.
Breezes? What would Breezes do?
Yeah.
Dude, I love Josh Allen. Josh Allen's great. I love Alex Smith. I love Fitz Magic. Thought he should have been a Cowboy.
No.
Yeah. He should have been here instead of Dalton for sure. I was a proponent of that. Russell's okay. He ain't bad. Hate Aaron Rodgers, but I recognize his greatness, but I just can't stand him as a person.
You're weird, man. You got this.
I like Derek Carr.
You got this emotional thing going on that, you know, you kind of like, I like the way he dressed. I like the way he wears hair kind of guy. Like,
I like Derek Carr's haircut. How's that?
Yeah, I'll say that.
Yeah, he likes Drew Lock too, I'm sure.
No, dude. You know what? All of those quarterbacks, Paxton Lynch, Drew Lock, the Kelly kid, although he was kind of a train wreck beforehand.
Kind of a train wreck. He was a train wreck before, and he was a train wreck after.
No, he was
definitely.
He got there. Dude, all of those guys would have been good quarterbacks somewhere else. John Elway has a habit of ruining quarterbacks that come to his team.
Well,
he's trying to protect his records.
Well, he shouldn't have paid that old lefty. What was that lefty he gave $100 million to? That was his first big mistake. I forgot you remember the big
lefty?
Oh, it might not have been lefty.
Paxton?
Cutler, I think. Jay Cutler? No, before he went to the Bears, right? Was it Cutler before he left?
Before Grossman and Cutler got traded for each other?
Yeah.
Good Lord.
No, you know who should have been the future of dude, he should still be playing for the Broncos. Brian Greasy. He should go into year 18 or whatever the hell it is.
Oh man.
Brian Greasy was good. He should still be there, but no,
yeah,
John
at Michigan.
He was too good.
Okay.
Let's make it bad. I'm just saying.
All right. Well, let's get out of here, man. We got a couple more good shows coming up this weekend. Make sure everybody tune in to those two. Both of them. Saturday, 11 a.m. Central, and Sunday, 11 a.m. Central. One more about NFL, the second one about national championship game. We'll be sending out some information on that. You can find me on Twitter, Teague Football. Charlie, what can they find you at, man? How do they get a hold of you?
So you find me on Twitter at Coach Williams II. Even though it says Charlie, everybody calls me Coach Dub. So that's really what I go by.
All right. JT, you are at Teague13. I can only remember that because I see it on the screen.
That's right.
And of course, George, you are at Teague Football, like you mentioned. You also have at Teague's Take.
Yes, that's correct.
Twitter, I am at IndyCar Tim. We certainly appreciate everybody that's made this one possible. Special thanks to Coach Dub. At Coach Second. Thanks, Coach Dub, for popping on with us, man. You can't wait to have you on again. You're a lot of fun to talk to.
You.
Let's just
you guys having me.
Football together. I don't want to do that. Mike Roach. Special thanks to Tom Lemming. Hopefully we'll have those boys back on shortly. Don't forget, next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Central Time, Teague's Take channels of YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter/Periscope. The great Cowboy Nate Newton will join the show. I'm sure we'll have lots of great content. But we appreciate everybody popping on here with us for the last hour plus some change. We'll be back next week. Until then, everybody stay safe.
I have no paper.
Who's this?
Kick 'em Aggies, baby.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, God.